Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, the Fantasy Clown, along with the real Brad Smith, coming to you with the previews of Clownhead 6 through 10. 6 through 9, actually, this will be the second year, and Clownhead 10 just began right after the season ended 2023. So this will be the first year. And as all of our Clownhead Dynasty leagues that we have so far, they're all Empire Dynasties. So 6 through 9 will have the ability to have that back-to-back winner and get $200 in addition to the prize money of $800 to the winner, $300 to second place. Just taking a look at what the scoring is, it has the same Clownhead scoring, 3 points for PPR, but this is a flex league. So one quarterback, one running back, two receivers, one tight end, 5 flex, and then 2 super flex. So a 3 quarterback league virtually here to get in the wins. And as we taking a look at Clownhead 6 just to begin, MB Gut, he's one of our members that's in some of our large leagues as well. He got the win, and so if he returns a win this year, would be $200 in addition to the prize money for first place. Taking a peek at who the computer generates to be the winner, it looks like it has me, Fantasy Clown, as the second place team. And if we take a look at what my team looks like here, we can get an idea of what the build is in this kind of roster. What do you think of this team, Brad?
Yeah, to start, it definitely looks real young. Definitely in line with how you draft most of your teams. I think it could be overtaken for second though, if we're being honest. Having Caleb as your number one QB isn't bad, but you've also got Jaden Daniels down there. Looks like you lost Mac Jones, for as a starter from last year. So you had 3 if it would have continued that way. But having Bijan as your one running back with Javante behind him is pretty good. Love Bijan this year. Your receivers probably don't do you justice for how they look. Having Jamar Chase is real nice if he plays the whole season, and then Romeo Dubs isn't bad, but then you got Brandon Ayuk down there sneaking in, so he could become your 2 receiver as well.
And as you can see on this team, I actually have it a little bit staged. Maybe it's important just to shout it out that, with Brandon Ayuk playing on Monday night, that's why he's down in the flex. And so I've started to put my early players of the weekend up in the top spots, and then I flex out guys as they go down the list. So that's really why he's down there in the flex. It's just basically a Monday night start.
Gotcha. Well, and then obviously with it being such a high premium on tight ends, it's good that you have a bunch of them with Trey McBride, Kyle Pitts, K-Dot, and Tyler Conklin just in your starting lineup. That's as good as anybody for your flex spots and one tight end. If we take a look down below, you definitely have receiver depth with Adonai Mitchell and Brian Thomas. Even Elijah Moore and De'Ami Brown could be a factor this year. Looks like Jahan Dotson, if an injury happens in Philly, could be a factor as well. Michael Wilson, I'm kind of out on, but the community might be higher on him. And then on your injured reserve, you got Jonathan Brooks to bring in there for Javante if he falls off and Brooks gets the start this year. And then obviously in your taxi, you're rocking all QBs like you usually do.
Well, they're just young. So what I try to do in these kind of spots is have quarterbacks that I'm not going to drop, but I'm just kind of waiting that maybe one of these guys or 2 of these guys will get some starts. And I'll just promote them into the super flex if that opportunity presents itself, and I have a chance to win. So,
Absolutely.
taking a look at the team that the computer has picked to win is actually Hot Sauce Wally. So the computer's not giving any love to MB Gut this year, but Hot Sauce Wally got the top spot. And what do you think of this team, Brad?
I mean, if this team's projected to be the first place team, I think this league might be kind of like balanced throughout, because I mean, I think this team could be beaten too if other teams players go the other way. I mean, obviously having Patrick Mahomes as your one QB is real nice. You're feeling good about that. And then he has 3 QBs for his other 2 flex spots in Tua and Geno Smith. But nothing behind that. I mean, Sam Darnold, I guess, is going to start the whole year, so he does have a 4th QB actually. And then running backs, he's got Kyron Williams, who's expected to have another big year. So, I mean, that can't be too bad. And then he's got a chain, Rachaad White, David Montgomery, and Devin Singletary all behind him. So even if he does fall off, I don't think he's in a bad spot there.
Well, and as you know, in Clownhead leagues, we give a quarter point PPR per rush attempt, so there's some real ability to really score with those running backs, and then the half point premium on running back PPRs. So there's a couple ways to really make those running backs be advantageous in the flex spot. So that can really play a role as well.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, his receivers, I mean, if we take a look here, he's got Drake London as his 1, and then he's got Hollywood Brown still out there for his 2. So I'm thinking he's going to be making a move here shortly to replace him.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, it'll probably be Wan'Dale Robinson he's bringing out there for his 2nd receiver spot. So that's probably his worst position looking at it. His tight ends, though, he's got Mark Andrews and David Njoku, which is real nice. And then Theo Johnson and TJ Hawkinson on the IR. So he might have one of the best tight end rooms in the league, along with you, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at Clownhead 7, we had Biff Cannon win last year, and then taking a look at this year in the 2nd position, McGuido is the team that the computer kind of runs 10 different simulations, and that's who they had coming in 2nd place the most times. So.
Yeah, this team definitely looks more like a win now team compared to the Clownhead 6. I mean, you got Lamar as your starting QB here with Kyler and Geno behind him, and then he's got Russell Wilson on the bench. So he's definitely set up for some rushing yards from his QBs. And then at running back, he's got Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Gus Edwards, Austin Eckler. So he's definitely set up to win now, since his running backs are a little bit older, but I think they could all still have good seasons. His receivers are a little bit older too, but having Keenan Allen and Chris Godwin really isn't that bad. And then at his tight end, having Trey McBride there is just as good as anybody. So I think he's in a pretty good spot to compete, honestly. And then he's got guys like Chuba Hubbard down on his bench that he could always bring in, or DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Juwan Johnson. And I mean, even guys like Braylon Allen has a good handcuff down there.
And Guendo for CMC, another good handcuff to have around. So Yeah, I see a lot of similarities there. Actually, of course, I see with Bride similarities, and then I see with the first place team, Kyler Murray and Geno Smith. I think we're on the other team as well. So, it seems like that was the build that had success, if you will. So, that's where it is. Looking at the top team, Psalm 3303. This is his first time in the top two spots, but man, he really has a good looking team here in Clownhead 7. So
Yeah, he does. I mean, his quarterbacks don't look too great on paper, but I mean, Jared Goff has been a top 10 QB the last couple of years, so I mean, you can't complain about him. And then you got Kirk Cousins down here as well with Derek Carr. Nothing else behind them, but I think that he'll be just fine rocking those three this year. And then obviously, when you have the best player in fantasy right now in Christian McCaffrey, you're probably feeling pretty good about making a run. And then also you got CeeDee Lamb, who's the best receiver in fantasy right now with Puka. I mean, this team looks pretty good, honestly.
and stout with Olave and Waddle. It's got just
Yeah, and Kyron Williams and Ramondre. I mean,
up and down, just a great team. So good job, Psalm 3303. Really with a good team.
this team looks really nice.
Yeah, looking at Clownhead 8, Redneck 88 won last year and would be on pace to get to $200 if he were to repeat. Looking at the computer, Thrash Goat is who the computer picked to come in second place. So we'll take a look at Thrash Goat.
Yeah, this team has a couple similarities to the first place team in the last league. I mean, obviously he's got a top 2 quarterback in Josh Allen going out there. And then he also has Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones behind him with Gardner Minshew on the bench if he needs him. Rachaad White as his one running back isn't the best, but I mean, I think he was a top 4 running back last year in fantasy, so you can't be mad about that at all. And then obviously he's got Amon-Ra and Puka for his 2 receivers, and then he's kind of trotting out a lot of young guys after that with T. Higgins, Brian Thomas, Josh Downs. And then his tight ends might actually be his worst position, so having Cade Otton as your one tight end might cause some problems down the road. But if Dulcich can come back to what he was supposed to be, I think he could be all right there as well.
And Theo Johnson looks pretty strong as well. And, Tucker Kraft had a good outing, and now with some injuries in the Indianapolis tight end, I mean, Mallory could be something. So enough there that I guess I would think that he's got a lot of darts to throw, if things don't go his way, with K-Dot. And I think there's enough there to keep subbing in. If this was to be a 2 tight end league, I might have a different opinion, but you don't really only have to start 1. So you should be okay to fill the spot and get some productivity, from it. Looking at Clownhead 9, this one, Psalm 3303 won this one. And so, this would be interesting to take a look at his team. And actually, computer says he could come in second place. So I wonder if this is a championship looking team for Psalm 3303.
I mean, on paper, the team definitely looks ready to compete now. Having Jalen Hurts as your top QB with Dak and Geno behind him seems like oddly enough the common denominator on these teams is Geno.
Yeah, well, that might be the guy that you can get late enough as a third quarterback.
Yeah, true. His running backs are real good with Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones. I mean, he's definitely got enough to trot out there whenever he wants. And then he's got Tyreek Hill and Debo as his 2 wide receivers with Amari Cooper behind them. I mean, and then obviously at tight end, when you have Travis Kelce, you're feeling real good about your tight end room. And then even if he falls off a little bit this year, he's got Evan Ingram, who's been the number one target for Trevor Lawrence for 1-2 years now. So I mean, he's definitely primed to make a run in this league. I think this team's better than the other one, honestly, that he was in the top two. Because I mean,
is the team that won last year for him, so I mean, I can understand.
I mean, he's got Devonta Smith on the bench, Cortland Sutton on the bench, Raheem Mostert on the bench. I mean, this team's just full of weapons. Nick Chubb on the IR.
Yeah, and that's a good team. Talked about it. Looking at the computer's generated first pick, T Lawler 7. Taking a peek at T Lawler 7.
Oh yeah, yeah. This team looks pretty good.
I'm echoing that when we start to take a look, and we're like, yeah.
I mean, he's got Patrick Mahomes there, and even if he has a down year, I mean, he's got C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield behind him, Sam Darnold, and Jacoby Brissett on the bench. His running backs, I mean, he can pretty much pick anyone he wants here with Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, and Kyren Williams. I mean, whichever one's got the hot hand. And then obviously his strength are his QBs, wide receivers, and tight ends. Like he really doesn't have a weakness. I mean, trying out Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Olave, Tank Dell.
He single-handedly wants to make sure some 3303 doesn't get a back-to-back win here, I think.
Yeah.
He's just kind of saying, hey, I want to go get a win. So, yeah. That one might be one of the better teams that I've seen so far, as we start to look top to bottom. I mean, like, there just isn't.
And he's got Andrews and Laporta as his tight ends. Like, yeah.
I mean, you can have guys get hurt, and it's okay. They'll just bring in he has a next man up, kind of philosophy here, and seems like that's a winning, conversation. Looking at Clownhead 10, so no prior winner because this is year one of it. B Mark 61 is what the computer has generated as a second spot.
I'm just pulling that up. Let's see here. This team looks like it may be able to be overtaken. It's definitely an interesting team. With Lamar Jackson, Kyler, and Deshaun Watson as his QBs. That's definitely one of his strong points. He's got Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, excuse me, Raheem Mostert, and Devin Singletary as his running backs. So definitely a little bit older, but I think they can still have great seasons this year. And then his receivers, which is what really matters anyway, are real young with Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Tank Dell. And then he has a top 5 tight end as well, and Evan Ingram and David Njoku. So, I mean, the team does look pretty solid.
It definitely does. I agree. How about Cellar Dweller, who has the top spot in the preseason picks with the computer generated here? Yeah,
this team looks like it may be hard to beat on paper. Definitely having Justin Herbert. That's a new one in these leagues so far. Kirk Cousins and Matt Stafford behind him. So even if Herbert doesn't start off great, I mean, he's got 2 kind of great QBs that are even older that he can get out there at first.
Well, it looks like he has Brissett, who's starting games as well. So
yeah,
should there be, at least at the beginning of the season, he's even got 3 quarterbacks when the bye weeks come, if they're early buys. So
yeah, which is big in these leagues. And then having Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs is real nice. I haven't seen many teams in these Clownhead leagues that have both of them.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And then you got he has Puka and Mike Evans Oh, and he's got Saquon and Kenneth Walker as other running backs just in case a couple of them
Well,
don't work out.
and Calvin Ridley's poised to have a big year. So there's some, definitely some star power there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then having Mark Andrews as your tight end is no slouch at all. And then he's got guys like Mike Williams, Adam Thielen, Cortland Sutton, and Isaiah Likely in case Andrews gets hurt on the bench. So I think he could have a really good team this year.
Yeah. I actually didn't draft my team in Clownhead 10, so I'll be anxious to see how I turn it around, with acquiring it late after the draft. And so, it's a little bit older than my team is, but I'm kind of hoping to take a crack at things, but I wasn't listed here as a top team in Clownhead 10. So we'll see what happens. I have a lot of older guys that I'm not accustomed to. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these teams, come out. And I can't wait for next week when we get together and kind of go through who the top scorer was in each of these leagues, 6 through 10, to kind of see how each person fared and that sort of thing. Thank you guys for joining us, for Clownhead 6 through 10. We're excited for the second year and the first year of Clownhead 10 with these leagues to kind of see how they evolve over time. And that's one of the most enjoyable parts is watching them be built and the different builds that happen and how people, the managers take them from team A to team B to team C, or year 1, 2, and 3, and take the team. So we're excited for that. But for now, he's Brad. I'm the Fantasy Clown, and we'll see you next time.